All right, today we're going to dive into a medical puzzle that can be, well, incredibly frustrating. We're talking about when your skin starts sending you signals that seem to completely contradict each other. We're going to untangle two very different conditions that can get confused, a serious vascular issue and a common viral rash.
So let's set the scene. Imagine your body starts sending you these totally mixed signals. It's the kind of medical mystery that can be super confusing to solve on your own, mainly because the clues, they just don't seem to add up.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem, doesn't it? When your skin seems to be reacting in completely opposite ways to different things, what is it actually trying to tell you? It can feel like you're trying to put together a puzzle with pieces from two totally different boxes. Okay, so here's the core conundrum. Your fingers turn ghostly white and go numb when you're out in the cold. But then when you're out in the sun, you get these dark spots on your skin. I mean, those two things feel like they have nothing to do with each other. In fact, they seem like total opposites. So what in the world is going on here?
All right, let's start cracking this case. We're going to open up the case file on our first suspect, a condition you may have heard of called Raynaud's phenomenon.
So at its most basic level, Raynaud's is a blood flow problem. It's when the tiny little blood vessels in your extremities, we're talking fingers and toes, but it can also be your nose or your ears, they just have a massive overreaction to cold temperatures or even emotional stress. They clamp down hard and fast, which chokes off the blood flow.
But here's where it gets interesting. Raynaud's isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. You've got the primary kind, which is usually milder and just is what it is. It's not connected to anything else. But then you have secondary Raynaud's. This one is more severe, and that's because it's actually a symptom of another hidden disease, often an autoimmune condition. And this distinction, it's absolutely crucial for solving our mystery.
So, how does this actually happen? The key word here is vasospasm. Just imagine the tiny blood vessels in your fingers are like little highways. A vasospasm is like all of those highways suddenly closing down without warning. The traffic, your blood, grinds to a halt and can't get where it needs to go.
And this whole process creates the classic calling card of a Raynaud's attack, this really dramatic three-phase color change. First, the area goes stark white as the blood flow just stops. Then it can turn a spooky blue color as the blood that's trapped in there runs out of oxygen. And finally, when the vessels open back up, blood rushes in and it turns a fiery red, usually with some tingling or even pain. White, blue, red. That sequence is a huge clue.
But, and this is a big but, in that more severe secondary form of Raynaud's, this chronic lack of blood flow can cause some really serious permanent damage. We're talking about painful little sores or ulcers on the tips of your fingers, and in some cases, the tissue can even die, which shows up as black spots. These are not just clues. These are warning signs that something much more serious is going on.
Okay, let's put a pin in Raynaud's for a second. Now it's time to build the case file for our second suspect, something that might seem totally unrelated but can muddy the waters. A viral rash.
A viral rash, which doctors call an exanthem, is a whole different beast. This is not a plumbing problem in your blood vessels. Not at all. This is your skin having an inflammatory reaction because your entire body is busy fighting off a virus. It's a sign of a body-wide battle, and it's all driven by your immune system.
Let's just use measles as a classic example to see how this plays out. The rash isn't the first thing that happens, not by a long shot. First, you just feel sick, fever, cough, runny nose. Then you might get these little spots inside your mouth. It's only after all of that that the blotchy rash finally makes its appearance, usually starting on the face and working its way down. This timeline is a critical diagnostic clue.
Okay, so now we've got our two case files built. Raynaud's, the vascular problem, and the viral rash, the immune system response. Let's put them side by side for a little showdown to really see what sets them apart.
This chart just lays it out perfectly. Look at the cause. One is a blood vessel spasm. The other is a virus attacking your whole system. The appearance is totally different. Those distinct white, blue, and red color changes versus a widespread blotchy rash. And here's the kicker, the timing. With Raynaud's, the pain and numbness happen during the attack. With a virus, you feel sick and crummy before the rash even thinks about showing up.
And that really gets to the heart of it. It all boils down to the why. Raynaud's is a vasospastic disorder. Think of it as a mechanical or plumbing problem in your blood vessels. A viral rash is an inflammatory response. That's your body's security alarm going off because there's an intruder. They are two fundamentally different things.
But hold on. Let's rewind to our original mystery. We've got an explanation for the cold fingers, but what about those dark spots that show up in the sun? That clue doesn't really fit neatly into either one of our case files, does it?
This is the real head-scratcher. This is the clue that could break the case wide open. We have to figure out this whole sun sensitivity thing, what doctors call photosensitivity. Why on earth would the sun be a trigger?
And here is precisely why it's so confusing. Heat from the sun or anything else causes your blood vessels to relax and open up. That's the exact opposite of what happens in a Raynaud's attack. So logically, a nice warm sunny day should make Raynaud's better, not cause a whole new problem.
So what does this tell us? It means the sun sensitivity is not a direct symptom of Raynaud's itself. Instead, it's a massive, flashing red flag pointing to a hidden accomplice. There's a third player in this mystery we haven't identified yet. And here's the twist. The sun sensitivity, that rash from UV light, it's the calling card of our hidden accomplice, an autoimmune disease like lupus. In conditions like lupus, the immune system gets confused and can be triggered by UV light, causing it to attack the skin and create a rash. So the person isn't just dealing with one thing. They have severe secondary Raynaud's that's caused by lupus, and the lupus is also causing the sun-sensitive rash. All the clues finally connect. Mystery solved.
Okay, so understanding this whole complicated picture is a huge first step. But the next, and maybe most important step, is knowing how to take all these clues and talk about them clearly with your doctor.
So to help your doctor connect all these dots, this is your toolkit. Seriously, keep a symptom diary. And don't be shy about taking pictures with your phone. Make sure you note all the triggers, the cold, any stress, and the sun. Be specific about those color changes. And absolutely mention any of the more severe signs, like ulcers or dark spots. And finally, list anything else going on, even if it seems totally unrelated, like being tired all the time or having sore joints. It is all part of the same puzzle.
Now, with all this great information from you, your doctor can then bring out the big guns to confirm what's going on. A nail-fold capillaroscopy, which is basically just a fancy microscope for looking at the tiny blood vessels at the base of your fingernails, can show them if the vessels look abnormal. And specific blood tests, like an ANA, can hunt for the antibodies that are the telltale signs of an autoimmune disease, officially identifying that hidden accomplice. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? Confusing, even contradictory symptoms. They're usually not random. They are distinct clues, pieces of a complex but ultimately solvable puzzle. Learning to read those clues is one of the most powerful things you can do for your own health. So the real question is, are you listening to what your symptoms are really trying to tell you?